Hi there! I'm Stina Troyer, the science specialist for Harbor WildWatch, and I'm out here at the Fox Island Sandspit, also known as the De Malay Nature Preserve, also known as Bella Bella Beach. It's a beach with many, many names, and we're out here just wrapping up some community science for the day. Community science is something Harbor WildWatch does to get important data that helps inform scientists of what's happening out in the wonderful wilds. And today we did all sorts of beach monitoring. We looked at the profile like we featured in a video before. That's the slope of the beach, as well as the different animals living at different tidal heights. So if you're just joining, if you could let us know where you're tuning in from and who's watching with you, we'd love to have that information for our grant reporting. And again, I'm Stina. I'm out here at the Fox Island Sandspit. It is a beautiful day in July. As they say here in Washington, after the 4th, it can finally officially be summer. And I'm excited to take you on a sea star wasting survey. And this is something we've added to our protocols. We started beach monitoring back in 2013, and hi there, Octavia. Welcome from Montana to the beach. What a treat to bring you out here to the saltwater when you're so stuck inland. But yes, we've been doing this beach monitoring project since 2013. And as we learn things, we add different surveys. And so the Sea Star Wasting Survey was a response that in the event that we saw all these kind of mushy sea stars. They had these white weird lesions. Their arms were ripping off their body. Kind of a terrifying, gross thing for these poor sea stars out here. But UC Santa Cruz is the university that we submit all our data to, and that scientific community couldn't cover the widespread disease that sea star wasting was. This is something that impacts sea stars from Mexico all the way to Alaska, and here in Washington we can be some eyes on the beach to help better understand this devastating syndrome that impacts the keystone species that are sea stars. Sea stars are definitely an important animal in the intertidal zone as well as the overall Salish Sea. They eat lots of things, and so they create lots of space for other rich diversity of animals to survive and thrive. So we really love those sea stars on the beach, and so today I'm going to start the timer and we're going to go on a little bit of a walk here at the Fox Island Sandspit. I'm going to turn and walk that way to try and block the wind with my body here. It's a little breezy, even though it's beautiful today. So we're going to see what we can find. This is a beach that historically we've seen lots and lots of leather stars. So I have a feeling we'll see some of those, but you never know what we'll see. So welcome to the Sea Star Wasting Survey, and we'll see what we find. So let's flip this camera around, do a little pan of this gorgeous day here at Fox Island Sandspit. We have our buddy here, Steph. She's gonna help us look for some sea stars. And so I've already kind of walked along this edge, so we're gonna head towards the water to see if we can find some sea stars today. So, what? No. So yeah, it's kind of it's a really, of the community science surveys that we do, this is kind of a nice one because it's kind of just a beach walk. We're doing a roving survey, so it's a timed survey where we're really just looking for sea stars, which I see one up here. We are in luck. And this is indeed one of those leather stars. It's looking a little sad here. We're probably gonna move it into the water. It almost looks like it has a sunburn, which isn't sea star wasting syndrome. Animals do die naturally, so hopefully we can get this little leather star back in the water and it'll perk back up. Normally, kind of this color in the armpit is the typical color we'd like to see. There's this red. It looks a little funny, I guess. I'm not convinced that this is a fully healthy sea star, but it definitely doesn't show signs of the sea star wasting syndrome, which is a sea star associated densovirus that kind of weakens the sea star's immune system and lets it be more susceptible to other infections that end up killing the stars. So luckily for these leather stars, they seem to be more resistant to the sea star wasting syndrome, being that we've seen over 100 at this beach on previous beach walks. So I'm gonna let Steph go ahead and grab this leather star here, and we're gonna plunk it back in the water just to make sure it's nice and happy. Give it a chance. No, so actually if we do flip it over, we can look at kind of the tube feet side. Oh yeah, its mouth is out, so this could be too late for this poor little star.
Oh. It's not even 2 feet.
But so we'll record a not so happy looking leather star. I'm gonna show you our data sheet. So we're out at the Fox Island Sandspit on July 6th. I'm gonna add Steph as a sampler today. And really we're looking for the Pisaster ocraceus, which is the ochre star or purple star, and Evasterius trochelli, it's hard to say these words out loud on camera, and that's the mottled star. Those are kind of the 2 species of concern. So I'm gonna write leather star down here. And for those of you just tuning in, we are at the Fox Island Sandspit, the beach with many names. Rachel's out there running tech for me today. Thank you, Rachel. She's answering questions in the comments, so you're welcome to type those in there. I may not see them as I scroll along, but I do kind of see some of your comments popping in here today. Again, if you're just tuning in, you can also let us know where you're watching from. I know we have some Montanans out there. I see Zeth tuning in. Yep. We have an Anderson. Welcome to the party. And we're really just taking a beach walk for science today, looking for sea stars. And so far we've seen one probably overheated leather star. The tide is a -2 something, and that was at about 1 o'clock today. So the tide is coming back in, and looks like we're all packed up. How is oyster counting, Steph?
We got 100.
100 oysters. So another survey we do out on the beach is oyster measurements, because back in 2015 we started seeing oysters on the beach, and it's kind of exciting when you're looking at a place with data and looking at it a lot. You can start to notice some things as they become unfamiliar, and we noticed a bunch of oysters settling on the beach, and so we started measuring them. And you know, we saw some little ones and some big ones, but definitely not as many oysters on this beach as there were a couple years ago. So it seems like those populations have sort of declined a bit, or maybe that non-native species isn't having such an easy time recruiting on our beaches anymore. Who do you think left these trails? I think children.
That's natural.
Yes. And as we're walking, I am keeping an eye out for sea stars. Sometimes, oh, just some orange brick in the water. It is nice how clear the water is today. Sometimes it can be hard to see what's going on because the muck will come in as the tide comes in. So not sure what's going on, but I appreciate the clear water and ability to see further into the sea. Oh, nice. Leaves are also confusing. You don't really expect to see terrestrial things, so when you see a leaf, it's kind of wild. All right. It's a nice, sad-looking red rock crab. See if it's a molt or if it feels heavy. It's kind of smelly, so there's a dead crab on the beach, but you can tell it's a red rock crab with its nice dark pinchers here, black pincher tips. And if you want to practice your crab wrangling, little shout out to A dead crab is a great way to practice without getting pinched. So you can grab the back leg, flip it over, and hold on to it with ease. Steph just found a little green isopod. Sorry, not an isopod, amphipod. Guessing it eats lots of green seaweed for that nice bright green color. Cool, but no sea stars. There's these weird, what is this? This is part of our transect at the -1 tidal height. We surveyed 5 squares to see what's living here, and there's not a lot living in the sandy area, at least that we can see. If we had a microscope, we'd see all sorts of tiny creepy crawlies in between the sand grains, which is kind of exciting, but also maybe terrifying. So lots of life, even if we can't see it. Not seeing a lot of sea stars. I was definitely predicting to see, I think I wrote in an email, I predicted we'd see 93 leather stars. I am not doing so well on that prediction so far. Yeah. So we're just, taking a stroll, taking a look. We might stop and see if we can hear the tube worm singing. See some fish jetting around. One thing I love about the Fox Island Sandspit is that this is the place where the tube worms sing. As the tide goes out, the water settles in the tubes of the bamboo tube worms, and you kind of hear this creaky, crickety sound. Or as one of our community scientists, Kinsey, said, they kind of sound like quiet dolphins, which I thought was very accurate. But I'm going to crouch in this little tube worm cluster over here and see if you can hear them. The wind might throw us off a little bit. But all these little tubes sticking out of the sand, these are indeed tube worms. And I can hear them. Curious. I'm gonna hold it really close. Block the wind with my data board. You can hear the little creaky. I might just hear children screaming. But I love listening to the tube worms sing as the tide goes out. Really, again, it's just the water settling into those tubes as those worms wait for the tide to come back up so that they can feed their little feeding branches. We're getting to the spit of Bella Bella Beach, or the Fox Island Sandspit. Still looking for more sea stars, and kind of surprised to not see any, except for that kind of one sad one. One prediction we have is, as we do kind of a set of monitoring, there's already been a couple nice low tides in the area, and because sea stars are mobile creatures, they can actually walk away as the tide is going out, and they may have gotten the hint that, okay, the moon is full, it's time to go to deeper waters, because it is hot, it is summertime, we do not want to get stranded out on the beach to dry out, and so they may have moved to deeper waters at this point. Just a thought, but something we've seen is less stars on the beach during the low tides that are further into the low tide series. So kind of interesting to see so many not so happy red rock crabs here. Although this one's kind of floating, which makes me think that could be a molt, but I'm not really able to open its shell, so I don't know. Maybe another dead red rock crab. Yeah, weird. All right, Steph, are you seeing anything? I'm seeing these red bricks that keep catching my eye. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of color that's tricking us, but not a lot of sea stars. This is kind of one of those adventures of, all right, let's do a sea star survey today, and you can't really truly predict what you'll see on the beach, so thanks for at least tuning in and we saw the one, but hopefully we'll, I don't know, I guess I can't guarantee that we'll see any more, but we'll definitely look for them and maybe talk about more cool things we find along the way. This is the sand collar, or eggs, of a moon snail. Again, looking a little dried out on this hot July day, but that is totally normal for these. They're gonna go in and out with the tide, and as they break down, the little moon snail eggs will hatch. It's kind of like the grossest Oreo cookie you'll ever meet. The snail mixes its slime with the sand and then lays its eggs as the cream filling of this lovely contraption here. And again, those will hatch as this breaks down. Kind of gives you a clue how big the snail is too. I set that out. It would be the size of the shell is about this big with the foot going around. So we'll let that sit here. One thing I do want to point out is it does look a lot like trash, kind of like a rubber gasket or a plunger or something. It is indeed a natural thing that we want to keep on the beach, but if we do see trash, we'll make sure to pick it up. Keep this beach better than we found it so that we can enjoy it in the future. I think my thought is we'll probably go ahead and just walk around the point here, wave at the bridge, see if we see any stars. So thanks, Sherry, for waving at us from afar. We'll turn the bend. I know you might be wondering, why aren't you looking at the top of the beach? And we're staying closer to the water because sea stars are a lower intertidal species. So while it is possible they could get washed up in the strand line, it's not so likely because they have those suction cup tube feet that are a great adaptation for holding tightly in the low intertidal zone where all their food is. And while they're able to withstand quite a few hours out of the water, it's not ideal for them. So they are definitely a happier creature with less time out in the sunshine. So they're gonna live in this lower zone. You might see all this green sea lettuce and Ulva intestinalis. This green seaweed lets us know we're kind of in that mid to low. Mid up here, low moving out there. Subtitle under the water. I don't know. Are you seeing any sea star stuff? Me neither. I'm feeling lucky that we found the one dried out one. Yeah, that's kind of a fun. Let me just pause and squat down here for a while and look out. You can see, of course, oh, there we go. The clams are squirting. There's a couple different varieties. I'm noticing a lot of butter clam shells. You can tell that this is a butter clam because of the way the lines on the shell go. I think the word's concentric. They don't radiate from the top. They just circle out from the sides, and it has this nice thick dark hinge here. And if a sea otter was munching into these, you'd see kind of a buttery yellow meat. I used to study sea otters and am able to identify a butter clam from far away within seconds before it gets devoured by a sea otter. Weird skills. So that's a butter clam. There's also horse clams and gooey ducks on this beach, as well as manila clams and oysters in the bivalve group. We also saw some shells of the purple varnish clam and some heart cockles today in our transects. So a good diversity of bivalves here at the Fox Island Sandspit. Ooh, okay, this is a lovely find here, Steph. This is the tube worm called a spaghetti worm. And the way it has attached different debris to its shell makes it look like it has big long antennas here. They don't, but they do have spaghetti-like tendrils that will come out to feed. Instead, these long tubes are from another type of tube worm called the banded tube worm, for the little bands on the edges. And the spaghetti tube worm basically takes all sorts of things from its surroundings. So I see some sand dollar shells, some barnacle bits, that polychaete tube worm, and it builds its protective casing to keep it safe from predators. And again, yeah, this is that banded tube worm. And then we also saw those kind of sandy tubes of the bamboo tube worm earlier. Ooh, Octavia's asking what a sand dollar is. They are a really cool creature, actually related to sea stars. And they're like a spiky sea urchin squished into a cookie. We've saw a lot of their shells. Haven't seen any live sand dollars today. Doesn't mean they're not here. We just haven't come across them. Just like we haven't come across any more sea stars for our survey. But again, this is just a timed roving survey, so we'll count the one and we'll add up how much time we spent looking, and that can give us kind of that idea of how much effort we spent. If we spent 5 minutes looking, that would be a different data point than if we spent an hour looking. So we can kind of, the scientists can use that information to gauge the different populations and how healthy they are. A little sculpin swimming around. Yeah. Oh, I saw a sculpin. Oh, nice find. That looks like a horse clam to me. The way the siphon.
I touched it.
It's not moving. So clams, we saw that nice shell earlier. That is buried in the ground here. And this big tube is the clam. And the way it kind of closes like that makes me think that this is a horse clam. Slowly sinking back down. These ones are definitely the fire hose of the intertidal zone. If you find these when they're not underwater and you give them a gentle poke, they will really scorch you down. So if you're feeling hot on a low tide day, gently poke some clams and you might get a refreshing whoosh. All right, well, we've made it around the point of the sand spit here. You can see the bridge to Fox Island in the background. Again, we're at the Fox Island sand spit, which is also the Malay Nature Preserve, Bella Bella Beach, the land where the tube worm sings. Oh, I almost got excited. That's just another brick. Not a sea star. But we will record that single leather star for today and kind of pan around this beautiful habitat here. If you get a chance, this is a great thing to do during this pandemic. There's lots of space to be outside and enjoy nature. And oh my gosh, Steph, it's letting us end on a sea star note. That is awesome. Yay! Okay. Now, we're gonna post this video later, so if you wanted to compare kind of our sunburned sad leather star to this nice healthy looking leather star, this is a great example of what a leather star should look like. Kind of these bright, vibrant colors, a smooth, slippery body. If we flip it over, you can see since it's not eating anything, its stomach is very much inside its body. Sea stars definitely do kind of a weird thing where they have extra oral digestion, meaning they spit their stomach out of their mouth to eat their meal, and then they put that tummy back inside. Can imagine how romantic a sea star dinner date must be. But it's great to see a happy, healthy little leather star here. And it's probably our perfect conclusion for this survey today. You can see the part where its tube feet go in. It has 5 arms, also known as rays. On the end of each is an eye, and this is something true for most sea star species, if not all. If we flip it back over, we'll see there's that nice bright dot. While you might think, uh-oh, that doesn't look natural, it is indeed the madreporite, or the special filter that all sea stars have somewhere on their body. Some keep it in their armpit, but this sea star has it right on top of its back, and that will filter seawater into its body. Sea stars don't have any blood, so they use that water to operate their hydrovascular system, which essentially is like a water pump way to move those little tube feet, which helps them stay nice and low in the low tide zone. So this little dot here is not a sign of wasting. It is indeed a good sign for this happy, healthy star that we're gonna end on today. So, Steph, great find. I'm glad to see this little guy, and I'm noticing the water is ripping. So if you're ever paddling out here, make sure you check the currents. But definitely a good place to recreate. I noticed a little harbor seal out there. All sorts of fun wildlife to see. Although not a lot of sea stars today, but appreciate all of you who tuned in. Thanks for your questions that Rachel is out there helping to answer. And ooh, okay, we keep trying to end, but oh buddy,
It is cooked into the
that
rock.
is a, we won't focus on this one too long, but this is why it's important that creatures stay in the right habitat. This one did not make it back to the low tide, so looking a little too dried out, but you never know. Sea stars are so resilient. We'll go ahead and put this one in the water because it is still kind of, it might just be stuck to rocks, but
It's baked on,
we're
or-
gonna put it in the water. Hope for the best. It is definitely a hot day out here, and so sea creatures got to do what they got to do. Staying cool is definitely an important part of being an intertidal sea creature. So with that, let's look at our healthy one for hope. And the star of our show here. But thanks for tuning in, and as always, if you enjoyed today's video, you're welcome to share it. Like us on Facebook and all other social media platforms. You can even subscribe to our YouTube channel, which will give you updates to our new content. We'll be posting this video on there at some point. And of course, if you'd like to join our Steward Club, that is a fabulous way to support Harbor WildWatch. We love our Steward Club members and are excited to keep offering all sorts of fun digital programming to you, as well as to everybody out there. So thank you again for tuning in, and join us tomorrow for a fish seine at Narrows Park. So we'll be doing that online. So don't actually come to the beach because COVID, but we'll keep you in the loop via this fun digital content. So thanks again, and learn, have fun.